34-year-old Raj happily signed the divorce papers, while his wife, Minnie, sat in disbelief, unable to comprehend what was happening. Raj had no idea how lucky he had been, especially in a world where men outnumbered women 10 to 1. He couldn't adapt to the changing times and believed he could relive his glory days as a single man. At first, things seemed to go in his favor. His wealth and good looks made him stand out, and despite the drastic shortage of women, he still enjoyed plenty of attention. In response to the growing population imbalance, the government implemented a controversial measure. They proposed a law that would randomly select 2% of the single, unmarried male population to undergo surgery, transforming them into female 2.0, who would then be paired with male partners willing to marry them. This announcement sparked widespread protests among men, prompting the government to allow the public to vote on the law in a democratic manner. Despite the initial outcry, over 70% of the population ultimately supported the bill, leading to the passing of the Conversion Act 2075. The government had the necessary resources and technological advancements to ensure the success of these operations. Men were offered the opportunity to volunteer for the program, but very few came forward, even with financial incentives available. Consequently, the government began randomly selecting single, unmarried men, regardless of their status, wealth, or caste. Raj, one of the wealthy and influential elites, initially dismissed the implications of the act, confident in his connections within the government, like many of his affluent peers. However, he soon found himself among the unfortunate few selected for the procedure. At first, he laughed off the situation, treating it as a mere inconvenience. But when government officials showed up at his mansion to take him away, the gravity of the situation hit him hard, and the reality was far from a joke. His family was given a list of eligible grooms to choose from, and were advised to select a suitable new name for their daughter. When Raj woke up in a hospital 3 weeks later, he was in a state of shock, feeling an unfamiliar weight on his chest and emptiness between his legs. His mother had chosen the name Riya for him. By the time he regained consciousness, all the formalities had been completed by the government agencies, leaving him with no choice but to accept his new identity. After a few weeks of recovery and adjustments, Riya's family was finally allowed to visit and meet their new daughter for the first time. For the occasion, Riya had been dressed in a floral gown, her hair neatly combed, with light makeup to appear presentable. As her family entered the room, they stood in disbelief, struggling to reconcile the person before them with the memory of their son. Despite their efforts to be supportive and act as though everything was normal, the weight of the moment was undeniable. Both Riya and her parents knew that Raj was now a part of the past. After easing her into the house, Riya's mother and sister helped him with his new life and the struggles that comes with being a woman. From toilet habits to basic sitting stance, to hair management, to bra sizes, to complicated outfits, to daily salon sessions, he was slowly taught the new ways of his new gender. They eventually broke the news of her arranged marriage and showed her a photo of her future husband. Riya couldn't contain her emotions and desperately pleaded with them not to make her marry another man. Though her family felt sympathetic, they understood that this was the law, and refusing to comply could lead to even worse consequences for all of them. The wedding day had finally arrived, and Riya's ex-wife Minnie came to congratulate her. As Riya watched Minnie, a wave of regret washed over her. She realized she should have never divorced her, but it was too late to turn back. Minnie was clearly enjoying herself, relishing the sight of her once proud husband, now reduced to this. Unable to contain her laughter, Minnie read aloud from the government-mandated book for Female 2.0, aptly titled, Being a Bottom. Riya could only stare in shock, fully understanding what awaited her. Riya's parents brought her to the wedding ceremony, where she first laid eyes on her soon-to-be husband, a 45-year-old college professor with a bald head. Although there were younger and more attractive options available, Riya's mother believed it was in her best interest to marry a well-mannered and conservative man. As a man, Raj had once been spoiled by money and power, which ultimately led to his divorce. Now, her parents hoped for Riya to find a lifelong, fulfilling partnership with someone stable. The wedding ceremony had concluded, and it was time for Riya to bid farewell to her parents as she moved into her new life at her husband's house. Yash, her husband, gently guided her to the bedroom, reassuring her with a calm voice that he understood the complexity of her situation and would support her through open communication. With slow, deliberate movements, Yash undressed Riya and kissed her softly. Riya, initially tense, began to feel unfamiliar sensations coursing through her. As he guided her to the bed to consummate the marriage, those feelings shifted, leaving her unexpectedly drawn into the moment. Riya couldn't sleep that night. The overwhelming sensations of pleasure had consumed her, leaving her mind racing. She lay there, unable to process the intensity of the experience, her thoughts tangled with confusion and unfamiliar emotions, unsure of how to reconcile her past with what had just transpired. Riya's new life was that of a traditional housewife. Now part of a middle-class household, she had to learn how to cook, clean, and manage the home while her husband went to work. The responsibilities she now faced were ones she had never dealt with in her previous life as a man, forcing her to adapt to a completely different role and way of living. Yash, having been a virgin before marrying Riya, was eager to be intimate at every opportunity, whether it was in the shower, early in the morning, or even in the middle of the night. And while it was a new experience for Riya, she wasn't exactly complaining, gradually finding herself drawn into the routine of their passionate encounters. Within a couple of months, Riya began developing unexpected feelings for her husband. The way he treated her with such care and affection slowly made her realize that she was gradually falling in love with him, something she never imagined would happen. During their holiday trip to the Bahamas, she realized that he wasn't as conservative as she thought, and actually had a kinky side. Riya joined the Female 2.0 exclusive club, where she met and bonded with other former men who had undergone similar transformations. As the success of the act became evident, it gained widespread acceptance. More men, once resistant, started willingly applying to be part of the Conversion Act. Seeing the positive results, the government made the bold decision to extend the act, increasing its reach to cover over 25% of the single, unmarried male population. The once controversial law had now become a new societal norm. Would you like to be a part of the Conversion Act? Do let me know in the comment section below. Also, thank you for watching and supporting this channel.